Okay, I just got inspired by a tweet. There are JRFK Jr.'s bitching about Kamala Harris saying they're going to censor social media companies. I have the solution for us all. Listen to this. Here's what we do. We do the reverse. And we say that the social media companies can't censor and have to treat it as a public forum. However, they aren't responsible for what people say and do and holding people accountable. Who's responsible for holding people accountable for committing crimes? The government. So the government and the police will take money and resources away from targeting minorities in America and put it into targeting hate speech and slander and lies and misinformation on social media. So the social media companies will host the evidence, and if someone does something bad, the government will punish people for doing something bad, and no one but consensus of the government with judicial due process will silence speech. The companies aren't responsible for what's said. The companies are not responsible for censorship. The companies are not responsible for targeting Americans to silence. The government is. And that gives us the ability to vote and determine what the government does and how censorship works. So it'll become a free speech issue. And liars and cheats will, they can do wrong things. They can, like all my stalkers lying about me, accusing me of being my stalker, like identity switching and impersonation and all that, and misinforming people about the law, lying. There will be an opportunity to punish people. But we can't let private companies decide who gets to talk. And the government needs to have an avenue to be held accountable if it tries to silence the wrong people. So we all get to look and see. But the private companies don't need to be hiding evidence. If someone does something wrong, don't hide the evidence. Prosecute them for it. Prosecute them for what they did. And if the prosecution can't be done, if they fail, well, that's not illegal speech, is it? So there'll be a line. And yeah, I think like spreading medical misinformation, if you give someone incorrect medical advice, we can't preemptively silence you, prior restraint. We can't keep you from saying it, but we can punish you for doing it. Once you say it, like, oh, you gave someone incorrect medical advice and you're going to be held accountable for that. We can't silence you, but we can punish you. That's the way we have a free society. Real simple, real easy. Most things won't be censored. And the people that spread, like the Money Penny or Tin Penny, whatever her name is, I forget her, the anti-vax crazy psycho doctor that gushes misinformation and affects hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, they go to jail. And the spread will stop. Because they won't have access to a computer. Well, they'll be stopped. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't let companies. Yeah, because the companies aren't going to be free. If the companies have to make up their mind on censorship, well, the companies have to act in fear of the government. They have to censor what they think the government won't like, and that can lead to political silencing. So it can only be the government, and it has to be with due process, and that's where the Constitution comes in, and basic freedom of speech and religion and press and assembly and all that, and right to petition the government. So it's going to be strict standards, but, Joe Rogan will get in trouble. Because, hey, he spread medical misinformation. We can't shut him up, but we can sure as fuck punish him for what he did. It's the only way to do it. And this will affect things globally, too. Same in third world countries and stuff, like Twitter bowing to whatever, I forget the names of individual countries, but there's been other countries that have insisted that censorship happen on these platforms, and the platforms have acquiesced to other countries' restrictions that are not related to us. And what if we change it to the system I'm saying, what's going to happen is the social media platform will be there like the Times Square, like the public forum, public squares, and those governments will be responsible for finding and prosecuting people that did something wrong according to them. They're the ones with the opinion. They're the ones that can fund, finance, investigate, and hold people accountable. Real simple. But the government doesn't want this to happen. They don't want it to be like this because that would give everyone free speech. It would make it very difficult to silence people. We'd have to have a court hearing and trials to shut people up. Could we have a trial about Joe Rogan and establish he spread medical misinformation? Well, of course. He said things like the vaccines alter your DNA. You could clearly convince a jury beyond a shadow of a doubt that is medical misinformation. Not really that difficult. It's very stupid. It's very impossible. It's utterly absurd. But you have to have the trial. And then once you have the trial and you're convicted of doing something like getting tens of thousands of people by spreading misinformation maliciously, we punish you for that. But it has to be trial by jury, beyond a shadow of a doubt, conviction. That will silence someone and punish them. And the people that got the big numbers, if you are going to tell 1 million people the wrong thing, you might be held accountable. But we can't be gagging people without that due process, without trial and a panel of people unanimously agreeing. But the anti-vaxxer hysteria motherfucker, people, that one comment, let's focus on that one comment. You can change people's DNA with a vaccine. A brief elementary, I remember this, me and my mother had a fight about this in first grade when I learned about DNA. And she was like, a car wreck could fuck up your DNA and blah, blah, blah. No. DNA is in every single cell of the body. It's established from sperm meets egg. You don't alter it after that. If an individual cell gets altered, it doesn't affect any of the cells around it. That individual cell has to start replicating, and it doesn't replace anything. It's a new entity. That's what cancer is. It's called cancer. You cannot change your DNA. That's an absurd, impossible statement. And you could clearly show people, if you had a full trial, lawyers, big screen TV, expert witnesses, the scientists, show people the graphs and charts, show people animations of cells reproducing and how this all works, and you clearly show the people, oh, what you said was provably, verifiably absurd and impossible. It cannot be accurate. And you spread medical misinformation. You have to hold them accountable. What you said, past tense. You get to say it, but if you fuck up, we hold you accountable. That's how things work. Imagine like me and the service dog rights activism and stuff. The links to the law are in the description of every video. I quote verbatim the Americans with Disabilities Act. What I say is the law. And you can't come up with this bullshit American Service Dog Registry that's really an Indian company that also sells fake vaccine cards. You can't, it doesn't fly. With due process in a court and a trial and showing that here's the ADA, read it. Here's the provisions of federal law that apply, read it. It doesn't apply. I can't get my parents to. That's another weird thing that I don't talk about much. My parents are anti-service dog and they say I'm wrong and those rights don't exist. And despite both being college educated, I cannot get them to read it. I cannot, they will not look it up. Don't put that in front of my face. No, it doesn't exist. No. It's the only way we can do things. But no, Kamala, we can't be shutting down Twitter because of what people use that tool to say. What you need to do is go after these people saying crazy shit for doing the wrong thing. Punish people for their actions, what they did. Real simple. And imagine how quickly it would stop. You think Joe Rogan cares enough about keeping people in danger to go to jail? What if he went to jail for 3 years and came back out like, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be spreading medical information and misinformation anymore. I don't think I'm going to do that. It might give him pause. It might give other people pause before they do it.